And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going out to the safari. We're going to be doing some research on some animals. We're going to be trying to lasso and ring around a bunch of animals that we're going to bring in to do some research and eventually scoring some points. Today we're looking at String Safari. This is sort of a reprint of String Savannah. And this is from IDW Pandasaurus Games. Plays in, it says 3 to 5 players, 30 minutes, ages 10 and up. Let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played. I'll see you on the other side. In String Safari, we have a big purple round string out there called the field string. And at the beginning of the game, there's going to be animals and land tiles in there randomly. And for example, we have a leopard, a white rhinoceros, and a mountain gorilla here for animals, and we have bushes, grasslands, and woods for land tiles. Let's talk about what you're trying to do and how a turn works. Now at the beginning of the game, everybody gets to take an animal card into their hand, and then they'll take a research tile. This is what they're trying to get in their research. Maybe they're trying to get animals that are awake in the daytime, or maybe they're trying to get leaf eaters or vegetarians there, or maybe trying to get omnivores or things that are the day or the night, or maybe certain animal type of species. You're trying to do that. So you can take some of these. You'll take, each person will get one of these and one animal to start the game, and after the research tile is drawn, the next one will be out. So there's always 5 research cards here. If you don't like any of these, you can always take one off the top. Once everybody has an animal card and a research card, the turns start. And so I have my animal card, my research card. Sometimes the animal card you take will have to do with the research tile you take. Sometimes it might not. In this case, I'm looking for people that are awake during the sun. This guy is not that, so it doesn't matter. Now each of the animal cards, the first logo is when they're awake. It's either day, night, or both. This is what type of food they eat. It's, you know, meat, leaf, or both. And this is the type of animal they are, and this tells you how many end game points you'll get if you actually researched this animal. So let's go through a turn. Now one of the land tiles out here says rocky area. And on my research tile, I've got to get people that are awake during the daylight. I'm gonna get 3 points for each of those, but I have to also enclose the rocky area. So here's the rocky area. Here's a guy awake in the day, so is the chimpanzee, so is the mountain gorilla. Now the guy that I have isn't, so he doesn't matter. I can place him anywhere I want. So I can put an animal down as long as he's a finger width away. And you're given this green research string, and it's a lot smaller than obviously the green one. And what you're trying to do is encapsulate as many of the animals as you can here. So what I'm trying to do is get as many of the ones in this lasso that I'm trying to research and get as I can. And it looks like, okay, it looks like the only thing I'm able to do here, because it's the beginning of the game, there's not too many, is I get one guy. Now it has to be, these guys don't count because number one, they're not open, awake during the sun. So even if I encapsulated these guys, they don't give me any points. But I might want to encapsulate them because I can actually get some end game points there. I'll show you in just a moment. So I'm trying to encapsulate the rocky area and maybe all these here. And I think I'm just about able to do it, but I can't quite get the white rhinoceros there. So in this case, this guy doesn't matter too much, so maybe I'll bring the string in here. I really want to get this all +2, and I got to get this guy, and boom, I think I've got everything there. So I would stop, and we'd count up the points. I get 3 points for every one of these guys, so I get 3. I had to get that in there. So, and I have all +2. So this basically says everything I've got +2. So it's 3 + 2 is 5. I would get 5 points by putting my cube on here. It actually tells you to start on 1, but I'm not sure why. So I got 5 points there, and you'd go up the score track that way. Then I get to take one of my colors cubes and basically claim them as I have researched this. And what this is gonna matter is the points on the bottom right. Both of those are 2, so it doesn't really matter which one I got here, but I can put that there. And what this means is later on, if somebody else, a different player, is doing a lasso and they're getting some animals, if they encapsulate this guy and they're trying to get maybe, let's say, leaf eaters, which this guy is, it won't be any points for him because I've already researched this. After that's done, I would take the string up, I would draw an animal card, and then based upon that, I would draw a new research card and pass the string to the next player, and they'll be playing. And I have a sun here. Oh, this guy's at ×3, and that guy got the food. Maybe I'll grab this, and then a new research comes out for the next person. Now I would also place this on top of mine because this is the only active research card that I have. So my next turn I'm going for omnivores. I'm getting 3 points for each of those. Now this shows me that I have to have the research string touch the field string. So obviously everyone else would get a turn just like that, but on my next turn I could place this guy here and I have to touch the green field string. That'd be trying, oh, I'm trying to get all 3 of these guys in there, but it might not work with me touching this field string. If I go like that, maybe. Okay, I got it to touch. So all 3 of these guys are omnivores. I'd get 3 points for each. 3, 6, 9. And then I could put another one of my cubes on these guys like that. Those are for the end game points, and that'd be my turn again. Now notice that this was a lot of points, 9 points, but the end game, at the end, you're gonna get points for that. That's -1. We're looking at something like this, where it's only 2 points per each, and maybe there's not as many of those animals, so your chances of getting a lot of points right now is not as good, but it's worth 5 straight points at the end of the game, so there's always that balance there. And of course, as the game goes on and people are taking turns, there's more and more animals come out, so it looks a lot bigger like this and more crowded. And of course, more and more people have research, so when it comes time to do your own research, obviously getting any of these guys isn't going to get you any points, so it gets the pickings getting a little bit slimmer there as as turns go on as well. This will continue until you take a certain amount of turns, depending on the amount of players out of there. With 3 players, there's going to be 6 rounds long. With 5 players, it's 4 rounds long. After everyone's taken all their turns, everybody will add up the amount of points that's on the bottom right of all the animals that they have researched. They'll also count up the points on all their researches that they've gotten during the game. And the one who's furthest along is the winner. Now there is a simplified version of this for more families and kids where you don't use any of the land tiles or the research tiles, but what you do is you draw an animal on your turn and you place the animal. In this case, you have to enclose the animal that you just placed, where in the main game you don't have to. And what you're doing here is, let's say I get these guys here, and you're gonna get 1 point for every icon that you match from the guy that you just placed. So we have moon, it's 1, 2, meat, 3, 4, 5, 6, blue paw, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 points, not bad. And then you take this and I'll put it on this guy because I'll get 3 points at the end. And you play this the same way, and then you just give the string to the next player who draws an animal card, does the same thing. You play 4 rounds of the easy game, whoever has the most points is the winner. All right, well, there's String Safari. Now, I know a lot of people out there really love those animal themes. My wife is one of them. So this is probably, I think, a good family game. Not so much maybe a gamer's game. Now, when we brought it out with the gaming group, don't get me wrong, we enjoyed it. We had fun with it. We kind of just joked about how it's at least refreshingly different from every other game we've played, where you're, putting cards down and trying to lasso them around. What I found interesting about this, there was something that kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way with this game is gosh, I don't typically have analysis paralysis or AP. Neither do some of the other players in our group. But man, when you place that string, and then you place your cube to get your research on that animal, you've got to draw an animal card and then draw a research card for next round. So by the time it comes back to your turn, you should know exactly what you're going to do, because you've already got your research card, you're looking at the board, the string gets passed to you, it's literally you're placing it. But what happens is after you're done, when it's your turn to look for that research tile, what we found is, man, a lot of AP set in for us a lot of times. And even for me, where it doesn't usually happen, where you've got 5 choices, and the games are always so tight scoring wise that you'll sit there and you'll look at you'll look at all 5 of them, and you'll look at them and say, okay, this is 2 times people that are up during the sun. So you'd look around the board, you say, how many do I think I could get? 1, 2, 3. I could get 9. But this is 3 times the sun, so I'd get 9 points. There's 3 of them, but it's a 2 at the end of the game. Where this next one is, I want omnivores, and it's only 2 each, but it's worth 4 at the end. Oh, and there's a land tile there, so that one would get me 10, the other one would get me 9. Let's go. And you would like methodically walk through each 5 of those, and it's like, I don't know, for a game that's this light, you really shouldn't. You should just kind of hey, on a whim, I like these guys, I'm gonna go for this research. And that's probably the spirit of the game that the game is designed for, is to go quickly and to just do it. But when you're playing with gamers, they're gonna wanna win, and they're gonna wanna look at all this. And I found that AP to really slow the game down. The family-friendly version, which is you don't play with any research tiles, you don't play with any of the land tiles, and you're just placing one, and then you have to encapsulate that guy, and you're getting just all the icons that are the same between that animal and all the ones that you enclosed. That makes the game move a lot faster. Now, obviously, there's not as many decisions to make, and it's not as strategic, but it helps that AP potential. But I like how they have the different rules where you can play with the younger kids with the easy rules and the older kids with the full rules. But there was more AP than I would have liked in this game for us. They could have maybe done something to give you more of a long-term strategic goal where, hey, the animal that you're putting down on, if you collect a certain amount or the most of, or all these different things you could say that gives you an end goal. If you do certain things to these animals, you're going to get a certain amount of points, and that would kind of focus you over the course of the game, because what happens is as the game goes on, more and more animals get put out. It takes longer and longer to look at which research tile you want because there's more and more choices and more things, right? So as the game goes on, it would actually help you focus, and then it would probably speed that up. But that was my only downfall, I'd say, is the AP potential here for looking at all the possible scoring possibilities before you take your research tile. Other than that, it was fine. It was refreshing. I like the animal theme. I like trying to get the guys around. It's different. I don't have anything quite like it. I know that there's like the railway game that you can play that's similar to that has the string, but this is slightly different from that, and it was quite okay. I think it's a good game for, I'd say, families, or like my wife who doesn't typically like normal games. This is one that she would enjoy. But other than that, I don't see it being a gamer's game all the time. I don't see it being brought out to the gaming groups unless it's just for a really refreshing change of pace. It's more for the families and the kids, I think, that the adults can also enjoy, and that's String Safari.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.